Continuing our ANZAC Day coverage across the country now, and let's bring in our reporters. We've got Evelyn Manfield in Perth, Stephanie Zillman is in Brisbane, and Sarah Tomevska is joining us from Adelaide. Evelyn, I want to get to you first, though, of course. Now, Perth in the middle, well, day two, shall we say, of the lockdown. And most people will be expected to be marking ANZAC Day in their driveways.
That's right. It was supposed to be, different from last year, but in fact, this is going to look very similar to 2020, and that's because of that 3-day lockdown entering day two. So I'm in Inglewood in Perth's inner suburbs, where at 6 o'clock this morning local time, this street will light up and neighbours are coming to the end of their driveway for their own ANZAC Day dawn service. One resident in this street will be playing the last post, another will be reading the ode. So it still will be a very special time for this neighbourhood, and this will be played out right across the city, across the Perth and Peel regions. But of course, in the outer regions where they're not under these same lockdown restrictions, they're not under lockdown at all, they will be able to continue their ANZAC Day dawn services as normal.
Let's go down to Stephanie Zillman, who's in Brisbane. And Steph, there was a main service in the CBD there in Queensland, in Brisbane, but people also gathered at the end of their driveways there too.
Lovely little street in the west side suburb of Chapel Hill, where there was quite an amazing turnout here. Arriving at about 6 a.m, there was quite a sizable gathering of people who listened to a track that was prepared by the RSL sub-branch. There was the last post, a minute's silence, the national anthems of both New Zealand and Australia. But what was really moving in particular was just the impromptu personal stories that people got up and shared. There was a man who shared a story of his relative who died at Gallipoli at just 17, and it was a really lovely service for neighbours who, some of whom had not even met before, to get together and gather here, despite the main service, as you said, happening in the city that attracts thousands of people. A lot of people in this little nook here in Chapel Hill prefer to just gather and have a simple service at the end of the street.
And is this something that the community there is likely to continue, do you think?
Yeah, that was something that a lot of people remarked on, how nice it was to just have a chat to the neighbours, some people who'd lived here for decades, and just share a drink. There was a real Queensland moment of people passing around a little nip of Bundy rum and ANZAC biscuits. So it was something that started last year, of course, with the pandemic. It was a much smaller service here on this street last year, about 30 people. This year it more than doubled, nearly 60 people, and everyone just commenting that, how nice it was for the community to come together and get to know their neighbours.
All right, we're going to head now to Adelaide. Sarah Tomevska standing by at the Brighton Oval there. Sarah, a different location for this year's service than usual. Why is that?
So, due to COVID restrictions, the event was moved from the Arch of Remembrance at Brighton Jetty here to Brighton Oval, where up to 10,000 people were allowed to attend today's dawn service. Now, we don't know how many people, the final numbers of how many people attended, but it was at least several thousand who came here for the dawn service, and very different scenes to ANZAC Day 2020, where we saw people paying their respects from their driveways. Apart from social distancing and QR codes, the dawn service here at Brighton Oval looked much the same as any other year. It was a lovely ceremony, started with an acknowledgement of country, a prayer and thanks to all of the fallen servicemen and women. So other dawn services in Adelaide CBD at the National War Memorial accommodated up to 2,500 people, and a march that'll be held in the city later this morning at 9:30 will be reserved just to veterans and their families.
All right, Sarah Tomevska there speaking to us from Adelaide. We also have Stephanie Zillman in Brisbane and Evelyn Mansfield in Perth. Thank you.
Let's continue our ANZAC Day coverage. Darren Chester is the Minister for Defence Personnel and Veterans Affairs. He joins us